Hi, it's Joe Gore for PremierGuitar.com from Musikmesse 2014 in Frankfurt, and I'm here with Robin Henlich from Palmer, and he's going to show us a remarkable new amp.
Hi there.
Hello.
Joe. Right.
Yes, well done.
Thank you. I don't know your surname, but don't worry. Yeah, well, we got a couple of new products. First off, we got our new amp. It's called the Blutsturz, which is a German medical term for if you lose a lot of blood at once. It sounds a bit nasty if you hear it first, but it basically underlines what the amp is meant to do. It's a high gain amp based on a single-ended circuit with a KD 120 tube inside. And it'll get you 20 watts, 20 Class A watts, which is pretty loud. And it has, on the back, it has a full PDI 09 inside, which is our speaker simulator, which alone is worth over $100 easily. And it has a load box inside, so you can play it without a speaker connected. So that makes it, in combination with a speaker simulator, makes it a cool studio amp, a cool home amp, but you can of course also use it for a lot of venues. Now, because it's single-ended, you can use it for a pretty wide range of sounds. You can actually take it all the way up to a high gainish sound, but you can also use it for clean stuff and rock and roll, bluesy stuff. So yeah, I'd suggest we'll kick off with the clean sound, and Marcus can give us a couple of samples. Marcus is an engineer and developer R&D engineer at Palmer. So hit it, Marcus.
Thank you. And there's some remarkable styling on there. Tell us about the prism on the front.
All right, okay. Because it works on a single power tube, which is KD 120, which is basically the whole secret behind the amp. That's how we get that amount of power in a single-ended circuit out of one tube, and this tube allows us to get that amp so far up in the gain level. So we thought we'd feature that a bit.
Tell me a little bit about the KT 120. We tend not to know the KT series valves as well in the States, though we know the 88s from old Marshalls, but what's the 120 like?
So 120, KT 120 is you have a similar crunch as a KT 66 or KT 88, but you have much more punch. So it's like a big bulb inside, and you can run it also with a very high voltage, but this is done more for low voltage, but still with a very high current. You have a very big current amplification there. So this is the tube for single-ended to make 20 watts out of it.
Thank you. And also new for Messe is the new line of smaller format stomp boxes. Tell us about those.
All right, we started off a couple of years ago with our pocket roots, which are these guys here, fairly big, boutique style pedals, metal knobs, pretty heavy, really decent. Awesome pedals, but we did find, okay, we can make it a bit cheaper, and so we came up with these here. What we did is we made the housing a bit thinner. It's still full steel housing. We changed the knobs to plastic knobs instead of metal knobs like on this one here. And if you flip it over, you have an external battery compartment. Here you have to unscrew the bottom to get to the battery. Those are sort of things that allow us actually to save a lot of money. So these are over 30% cheaper than the big guys, but inside they're more or less the same. It's the same electronics, yeah, so we just got a nice cheaper range of pedals. Of course, these still have this overhanging bottom part, so you can screw them in to the pedal board, but something we did change was we shortened the bottom part so you can use angle connectors on these, whereas here on these you couldn't use those, and especially if you have pedals that size, you don't want to have your angle connectors coming out the top. Yeah, so that's basically it. These will be available about June, July, and they'll be retailing in Europe for a street price of about 39 euros. So that, I don't know, that's about $49, $59 map. So, yep, they're going to be pretty cool. This guy here, you might have already heard about our Tino. This is its successor. This will allow you to switch 2 amp heads to 1 cabinet. And it has an external control in, so you can use whatever foot switch or switching board you have to switch between your 2 amps. Now the critical thing about switching 2 amps to 1 cabinet is that you always run a risk of the cabinet or of the amp that is not being used running without a load. The way this works is you plug your guitar into here, and then you take output 1 to amp 1, and that goes to amp 2 to the input. And then you take the outputs of the amp and they come back into this unit, and you connect the speaker here. So the amp that is not being used, it will not get an input, i.e. it won't have an output either. Nonetheless, this unit has a 50 watt load, so if you have something like a delay in your effects loop, if you switch amps, the delay will still keep running on that deactivated amp, and the load box is there to absorb that. Yeah.
Very clever. I can imagine a lot of uses for that.
There are a lot of uses. People just save dragging over 2 cabinets, so you only need 1 cabinet. And especially being able to use effects in the effects loop is something special for our unit, which the competitors can't do.
Where can people find more information about these?
On premierguitar.com? No, I'm sorry. On palmer-germany.com.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And I'm Joe from Palmer. I'm Joe from premierguitar.com, and thanks for watching premierguitar.com.